Hello, everybody, and welcome to Light News Radio, Realms of Self-Empowerment, the place where you can have a true spiritual, metaphysical education without all the hype and the fascination. Today is a very interesting day, December 14th, 2018, because an hour ago here in Vista, California, which is in San Diego County, the power just went out. So it's going to be interesting as we do our show today, how many people will be online. My amazing and wonderful and fabulous assistant, Deirdre Layton, is in Nanaimo on Vancouver Island. And we got some people that are actually coming in. This is wonderful. And she's looking after her mom there, and it's very stormy there. And guess what? There's a power outage on Vancouver Island. So we'll see what happens. So I think today, our show will be a full half hour instead of an hour. And you guys are welcome to chat in if you'd like and ask questions. And if there is a little bit of time towards the end, I will definitely do a couple of free readings. These shows are also downloadable. I will be loading them up to YouTube so that you can watch them and download them and archive them as well. Please do like, share, and follow. We are www.lightnews.org, lightnews.org. And this program you're listening to is called Light News Radio, Realms of Self-Empowerment. And we are now in our 5th year of broadcasting. Can you imagine doing anything for that length of time? So it's pretty wonderful. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the chakras. Those are my seminal teachings, my theory on dominant chakras, something I've been studying since probably the earliest part of the 1990s. And it has always been very fascinating to me about who and what we are and what we represent. It's much like being an astronomer or a physicist or a molecular biologist, going into the great reaches of space or down into the most minuscule of atoms and subatomic particles, always working to find out, just how wide and wonderful our universe really is. So for me, it became the centers of consciousness, chakras. The word chakra actually means wheel, and we often take that to mean wheels of light. But it's an interesting idea to think that perhaps in the East, like in Japan or in China or in India, that the phenomenon of having 7 chakras lined up more or less along the column of your spine is widely known and widely accepted, and it's just simply not true. The same is true with past lives, karma, and reincarnation. I suppose if you go to some of the larger cosmopolitan centers in Asia, that would be more prevalent, but certainly not in the rural areas. Even my own teacher, Dr. Moriyama, when he began to teach about the chakras in Japan, I believe in the 60s, they mostly laughed at him. They mostly thought it was quite humorous. The only people that really took him seriously were Nobel laureates and so forth. So you may be asking, what is a chakra? It's a center of consciousness up and down the column of the spine. And this is according to some of the oldest writings in the Upanishads. These are the writings that come out of India that are 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years old. That these are centers of consciousness through which the human being emanates their power. And for the most part, chakras are associated with the meridians. These are the channels of energy, also called nadis. Nadi actually means channel. These are the channels of energy through which the chi flows. Chi is a word that's often associated with the Chinese. However, in Japan, it's called ki, Ki. If you were in India, it's called prana. Here, we might call it life force, so it's known by many names. But this is called subtle energy, in that the energy of the chakras, the energy of the meridians, is a type of energy that cannot be quantified directly, can only be quantified indirectly. So whenever we use the term subtle, like subtle energy medicine, subtle energy psychology, we are speaking of a level of energy that is beyond this dimension and not limited to space or time. And so this energy that is of the chakras is often mislabeled because it's so easy to go from the word energy and chakra to think fuel, electricity, gasoline, something that is converted into something that is linear or power itself. And there's more to it than that. It's not just power itself, it's consciousness. So while the chakras do convert a form of energy into the chi, or the ki that we use in our bodies, they do much more than that. They are actually the conduits through which we radiate the actual physical presence of ourselves in this dimension. And believe me, as I've said, I've taught this for years, and I understand that if you're hearing this for the first time, it may sound a little pretty far out there. But at the same time, a chakra is more about consciousness than it is just about energy or power. Think of it as affecting the 4 archetypes of what it is to be a human being: mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional. And to that extent, those 4 archetypes are what constitute who we see ourselves as. When you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning, the person you see in the physical body is a result of the 7 chakras radiating the quality of your consciousness into this dimension as a unique being in time and space. So this absolutely captivated me in the early 90s. I couldn't get enough of it. I had begun a path to a doctorate in human science, which nowadays is called integral health. I had begun a ministry, a spiritualist ministry. And I'm so glad we have people that are tuning in and coming on. Hello, Carol. Hello. Amchi. Oh, very good. And Kimmy, my own daughter. Very nice. Dale, nice to see you. Rayanne. So this is such captivation, of my interest, because I really wanted to know how we are even in this dimension. How did we even get here? What is it we're doing here? And so, like a scientist, I wanted to look into this very deeply. So I did esoterically, but I also did scientifically. And what I found was, even though we have 7 chakras, they don't all operate the same. They're very unique. Each one possessed of different properties and different qualities. Each one possessed of a particular intuitive faculty. Each one possessed of a way that it works with and affects the different bodily glands, organs, tissues, and so forth. And so it looks like someone has texted me a question, so forgive me if I have to put on my glasses to read. Okay, thank you very much. That's very nice. So think of the chakras as conduits to you that connect you to yourself on different levels of being. That there is an astral you. Astral is a reference to a dimension beyond this one. It's the one where most people go to when they pass. And think of it as a conduit that connects these 2 realities together. That each chakra is a way that those 4 archetypes is affected in this lifetime, but also that the faculties of the intuition in each chakra affect the way we perceive reality in this lifetime. So certainly, you have your eyes that you see, look around and you see the things in your environment. You have your ears, you're listening for cues. You have your taste, your smell, you have your touch. But there's more to it than that. There's much more to it than that. And Deirdre's, excuse me 1 second while Deirdre would like to come in here. She says, I have been charging in the car lots lately. The ferries are shut down due to the high wind and the rain. And, although I do have to say that Deirdre really does love the inclement weather. If it's raining or there's thunder and lightning, she really does. And I really hope that, very soon we can get her back on the program, because she adds a wonderful extra added element to the program. More than just me. And Deirdre is watching, so I'm going to see if I can bring her on camera here. We'll see. The Facebook app.
Hi, I'll be on as long as I can. Love you guys.
Rayanne says,
oh, you're cutting in and out. It's the internet here. It's so bad.
Yeah. Well,
have no internet.
We are our.
Yeah. Well, I'm don't want to use up your bandwidth, so what is great to see everybody.
Yeah. We are talking about today.
Okay.
And my coming from your speaker and going back the program here.
I'm looking forward to it. Next Friday for sure. We got to do a Christmas special one.
Oh yeah. A week after.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I can hardly make out anything you're saying, so I'm gonna hang up.
Okay, Dee. Well, thanks. Thank you. Yeah. She's great. She is really wonderful, and such an added addition, especially when we're interviewing people. You know, for those of you that are new to Light News Radio, uh, we were strictly internet based at one time, so no video. And we would bring people on and we'd have a script. We'd always have a script, but we were also famous for not following the script. So when Deirdre would get online and get a little bit flustered, it made for excellent radio. So hopefully we can do our Christmas program a week from today, which will be December 21st, and we can bring her on. So with the chakras, these 7 energy centers of the body, these 7 centers of consciousness, I just wanted to talk a little bit today about it because my whole studies in the chakras revolve around something called dominant chakra theory. Dominant chakra theory, and that is where even though we have 7 chakras lined up more or less along the column of the spine, that one might be a little bit more dominant than the others. It's a lot like being left or right-handed. There's nothing wrong with your non-dominant hand, but one might be more dominant and that might be the one you prefer. So if you think of it in terms of intuition or psychic abilities, if your throat chakra was the more prominent one, your other chakras would be working just fine. You would just favor this one, meaning the main psychic ability connected to the throat chakra is called telepathy. Telepathy means what is the character of a person, place, or thing. So remember, you know, when we're thinking about intuition, there's a couple of things that are true. One, the intuition is on 24/7 because the chakras are not limited to time or space, and neither is the higher aspect of ourselves. And so that means that we are always tuned in all the time. We may not have cultivated or used those faculties, but they are on. And secondly, that when a particular psychic ability is more prevalent than the other chakras are working just fine all the time. They're never blocked, they're never closed, there's no such thing, but you might favor this one more. And so let's say your throat chakra was more dominant than the rest, then your telepathy, your telepathic powers would be used more, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, and that would be mitigated or affected by whatever karma you had coming into this lifetime. So if the throat chakra were dominant and your telepathy were more prevalent, then you would be more looking into understanding, looking into comprehension, looking into the meaning of things, and that would come in 3 flavors. How you comprehend others, how they comprehend you, how you comprehend yourself. And so you might spend a lifetime gathering knowledge for the sake of comprehension, meaning, understanding. And hello, Ken, and hello, Pamela. So nice that you're on. And so this can cause the mind to react in different ways. Because in my theory of dominant chakras, the thinking mind cannot do what the chakra does. The chakra is not limited to time or space, your thinking mind is, and so there's quite a difference between the two. And so if the chakra represents something like deeper levels of understanding, then the mind is going to tend to get a little ahead of itself and become what's called prescient. That's where you think about what you're thinking about, what you're thinking about, what you're thinking about, and so forth. And so when this dominance happens, imagine if the throat chakra instead were a blue filter and you're looking through a blue filter and you tell me, Dr. J, everything is blue. And I say, well, to you, it's blue. But your perception might be colored by this blue filter of your throat chakra. And so, rightly so, you would be saying, okay, well, what does that mean to me? Well, it means that your perspective is skewed by your telepathic abilities and how you perceive reality. And so as a person starts to understand how they see what they see, why they see what they see, that the perception then alters. And as the perception alters, so does the level of comprehension, right? Well, so with new information, with a greater level of perspective, your way of viewing things changes entirely. But if you know that your throat chakra was more dominant, you'd say, oh, yes, well, I really tend to want to know the meaning of things. I really want to be able to understand fully, but sometimes I think people just don't understand me. People really just don't know. You know, I explain myself and they don't know. Well, that is a way that the mind can react to the telepathic power of the throat chakra, because the mind can't do what the chakra does. So therefore, in order to make this more simple, think of every chakra generates in the physical mind a fear. And the fear generalized for the throat chakra is no one knows me for who I really am. Why? Because the throat chakra itself is telepathic. It's all about deeper meaning and comprehension and understanding. But the physical mind can't do what the chakra does. So it tends to lag behind in perception, and therefore wants to gather information, wants to know how things work, wants to have a greater understanding, can feel like you're not being understood. It can make you feel ungrounded. And so in this short little radio program is just scratching the surface, because I hadn't talked about the chakras for a long time. And I thought, you know, now here we are going into the new year very soon. Can you believe that this is December 14th already? And here we are going into the new year. And I thought it was time. Interesting too, because next week, December the 19th, 2018, I will be giving a lecture at the California Institute for Human Science, which is a research institute and graduate school in Encinitas, which is northern San Diego County. And that's at 7 o'clock last Wednesday for just 20 bucks. And the lecture is called Dominant Chakra Theory. So it's going to be a wonderful community gathering. Anybody can come, where we're going to talk about dominant chakra theory, and people are invited to ask lots of questions, and we're going to have a wonderful evening. We might even do some processes or some journeys where we determine what our dominant chakra is, or do some lovely exercises so that we can help develop our own awareness of what those chakras are and what they represent. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Also, to take a look at the swath of things that Deirdre has created on our website, www.lightnews.org, is to really get into a well-organized and a well-designed website. I'm continually amazed by Deirdre's expertise in this manner, whether it is the blogs that I write that are published on there regularly, the past Light News radio shows, the amazing calendar of events, the integrative chakra therapy that I've been teaching for 20 years now. And so there's a whole lot of offerings on the website that you can go to and partake of here and there. These days it's so easy to do from just about anywhere on the planet or off planet. I also wanted to mention that, you know, taking this dominant chakra theory to the next level is teaching people for their own spiritual development how this works in the form of integrative chakra therapy. This is a course that I've been teaching for 20 years, over 500 students and graduates in the US and Canada, and people will take it for simply their own spiritual development, not to hang out a shingle and do healing work, but to understand themselves better. Whereas other people will take it to become healers, practitioners, even instructors. I graduated 4 instructors this year in integrative chakra therapy, or ICT as we call it. And so there's a lot of offerings that are coming down the road. One of the things for you that are listening, obviously, you know, if you're listening right now, you're listening online. You're watching online, right? For the benefit of your handheld or your iPad or something like that. So there are so many institutes colleges, universities offering distance learning programs. For one thing, because people can't afford to travel just wherever they want to go, but for another, it brings all of these amazing teachings into your own home. So to that extent, I have developed two online programs. One of them is called Awakening the Master Within. It is 6 online modules taken 1 week at a time, where you participate with me on Zoom for an hour and a half plus a half hour of questions, and you get a workbook every week with assignments. And there's also a 3-day retreat at the end of that 6-week online course where we're physically going to be able to get together. So this is necessary because the physical closeness is a way to kind of seal and concretize that type of learning. But also, how many of you do tarot? Do you remember tarot cards? They're so prevalent now. There's so many different types that I have developed an online tarot course where you can learn how to do the tarot in one setting. I have a 100% success rate, been teaching the tarot since 1994. We also offer an ongoing astral travel workshop. Last Saturday in Calgary, Canada, I had 42 people in the room learning to do astral travel. We did 4 journeys and it was phenomenal. It was fabulous. We just had such a wonderful journey. So what I'm saying is, there's a lot of things that I do in order to help the person empower themselves and achieve a greater knowledge of their own spiritual awareness. Learning about the chakras is kind of like standing in the center of the circle of all of the teachings that I do. So in this way, once you learn about the chakras, then everything else kind of gets concretized and integrated into place. So please do, hey Kathy, so please do take some time to look into the chakras. As many of you know so well, I have written 2 books. One of them is called Eye of the Lotus, Psychology of the Chakras, which is the seminal work. It's more like a textbook on the chakras. And the second one is called I Can Relate, How We Intuitively Choose the People in Our Lives. By the way, next quarter, starting January 8th, I'm teaching a 10-week course online that anybody can take called Psychology of the Chakras, interestingly enough. So I'm very anxious and excited to be able to teach and to be able to help a person to achieve a greater understanding of their own spiritual self-development. So I'm at a place right now at about 25 minutes after the hour. I'm wondering if anybody would like to have a reading. It looks like we've got a nice number of people online today, so I'm very grateful for that. By the way, if you're joining us late, here in San Diego, we have a power outage. About an hour before this program came on, all of the power went out. So I'm doing this on my iPhone, not knowing exactly how well it's coming across, but it appears that it's doing okay because we have a number of people that have come and gone online and checked in. Also, Deirdre, my assistant, if you're coming in late, you should know she's in Nanaimo, which is Vancouver Island, Canada, looking after her mom. And they have a storm up there that's so bad, they have a power outage. So, we're still apparently generating enough electrons to be able to come to you live. And so, let me see here. It looks like Rayanne has sent a photo. And I can't quite see it right now. Let me just take a look here, because when I do this, I don't know if I'm taking myself off camera, so I'm really sorry. But let me just take a quick look here. And go away for a moment just to look and see what Rayanne's flower was. And so, and then Leah, you're next, okay? So Rayanne, when I looked at that flower, I saw a couple images of you. It was like one imposed upon another, like kind of like those Russian dolls, where one's inside the other, inside the other. So it tells me that you are very much looking at honing your focus. Some of you are old enough to remember the days of pencils, and we stick the pencil in and we turn the crank on the pencil sharpener and we came to a very fine point. So I think whatever you're doing right now, you're on the right track. You're working very diligently to increase your internal focus, and I feel that everything in that way of internal focus is really really to your benefit. So everything is well. Okay, and Leah, um, yeah. So third chakra is the one above the navel. It has a lot to do with truth, uniqueness, personal power. And it feels like your third chakra is kind of like when a person grits their teeth and they make a determination, say, now I'm going to see this thing through. And God bless you. I know you're pregnant and very soon to have a beautiful baby. But more to it than that is kind of how we, like I told Rayanne, how you sharpen your focus. For you, it's like sharpening your focus, but it's also with action. It's also proceed. You know, go ahead with a sense of power, a sense of projection, a sense of purpose, a sense of this is me and this is what I'm doing and this is what I represent. And I'll leave you in light with that. And it looks like Pamela, always open for a reading. Okay, and Pamela is a very, very good healer herself, as is Leah, as is Rayanne. And Pamela has this amazing tattoo on her inside of her forearm of a nautilus shell, and the person that did it was just a master, just so beautiful, you know. So I think that says a lot about you, Pamela, because my dear friend Miguel Angel Vergara says that when you get a tattoo, you wear its energy. So if you got a tattoo of a lightning bolt, let's say, then you would be wearing the energy of the lightning bolt or whatever it is. So the nautilus shell, you know, represents expanding wisdom. So this is a time for you to either continue studying something that you're studying or a time to begin to study something new. So take up something like if you were to take my course, Awakening the Master Within, or the Tarot class, or something else, it's time to take some kind of a study. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it does have to be something scholastic or academic. Okay, and let's see. And Leah says, that was beautiful. Thank you. Very spot on for what is going on. Okay, good. And let me finish with a flourish with Mr. Ken. He says, I'm always open for a reading too. And I get a little smiley face. So, hey, not bad. I rated us. Oh, the power just went on. Yay. So I don't mean my power just went on. The power just went on as the lights came on. You never realize how much you miss it until it's not there. So it's very, very cool. Okay, Ken. And by the way, Ken was also at the Astral Travel Workshop last Saturday night. So thank you so much for coming. And by the way, Pamela just says, I actually just started a course of study a couple of weeks ago. Thank you for the validation. Oh, you're so welcome. Okay, Ken, so let's take a look at you here. Okay, so this chakra here is called the sixth chakra. It's called Ajna, A-J-N-A. It's a Sanskrit word that means command, and your sixth chakra is sputtering a little bit. That's not a good or bad word. It's neither. It just means that you might be working a little too hard to focus in on something that it is not able to focus. Have you ever looked at a picture, a printed picture that was out of focus, and you were attempting to make it sharper, but it's not possible because it's already printed? So something that you're looking at right now is as sharp as it's going to be. It's not going to get any sharper. So that's not good or bad. It just means it's not time for you to see it as clearly as perhaps your heart or your physical mind would like to, which is great. But you know, it's like wanting a fruit to be fully ripe a month before it is ripe. It's just not time yet. So this is not for you to feel good or bad, like, oh, maybe I'm not doing something right. It's more about a process, and you know, letting it take the shape that it needs to take, and it will come when it's time. It's not good or bad. I've said that 3 times so that you would not put a value on it. Just let it be what it is, and over time it will come into clarity. It's not about how hard you try, it's about how much you allow right now. Okay, and I'll leave you in light with that. Okay. Kathy Miller. Oh, one more. Okay, last one. No information. No, just kidding. It's one of my favorite things to do is to do readings online. I remember years ago in Monterey, I was on an AM radio station, and we spent the last half hour of an hour program just people calling in from their cars or from their homes and whatnot. And I had so much fun. I remember one person, I stopped them at hello and just gave them a reading based on one word, hello. So it's a lot of fun. Really enjoy doing it. So Kathy, the heart chakra is located here over the heart area. It's called Anahata, which means uncharted or unbounded, and it has a lot to do with the profound nature of what love is. And similar to Ken, this is not the time for you. This is not the time for you to overly invest your emotions in something. It's a time to be a little bit more in what's called equanimity. Equanimity means choosing to be calm in the face of any consequence, in the face of anything that's going on right now. It's for you to walk serenely as if you're walking through a very loud disco, but you're just walking like this quietly. Not that you don't care, it's that you're choosing your response right now to be cool, calm, and collected in the midst of whatever's going on around you. So you're choosing a response that is cool, calm, and collected. And this way, people will see how you are unaffected. And it doesn't mean you don't care. It just means you're choosing not to get swept up in something right now that may not benefit you. Okay. And I'll leave you in light. So that's great. We did a few readings, and you were all incredibly great and wonderful, and I appreciate that. You can always help Light News Radio to spread by following, liking, sharing, by letting people know that we exist, by sharing our website, www.lightnews.org. And of all the things we're offering, Deirdre and I are working hard to make ever more offerings. We hope you will join us for free healing work this coming Monday night in San Diego and La Mesa. And then again in the new year, twice a month in Calgary and twice a month in San Diego, we offer free healings. And of course, every weekend that we're doing healing work when we're training healers in integrated chakra therapy. We have a whole lot to offer. We hope you'll take us up on it. We hope that you're enjoying as we slide into these holidays, that you'll take a few moments to look across the table at your family, your loved ones, your friends, your beloved pets, and just express some gratitude and some love for each other. So I'm Dr. J. I'm your host, and Deirdre Layton will be with us next week for sure for our Christmas program. And we are Light News Radio, Realms of Self-Empowerment. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, may the principles of harmlessness and compassion be the ever-present, ever-constant guide of your every intention, of your every thought, and of your every action. And thank you so much. And so it is, and so it shall be. It is done. Stay attuned, everyone. Bye now.